Good morning. Hello, good morning. Hi. Welcome to One Church. Great to have you here with us this morning. My name is Mark. Welcome if you're in the room with us. Hello if you're watching along at home as well. And well done for making it after a night of drama. Perhaps this is the group of people that weren't up in extra time. Anyone watch the whole thing? Oh, of course. Good. Okay. Squeaky bum time, eh? But good. We live to fight another day. I'm not really a football person, but I'm into it this year. So I don't know. Yeah, something about the spirit of it is pretty fun, isn't it? Anyway, as I said, my name's Mark. It's great to welcome you here this morning. I am part of the staff team here and a partner at One Church. And you've got the supply team this morning. Our normal sort of ministry team, Dave, Sam, and Leanne are all away at various different things. Dave and Leanne, you'll be pleased to know, are brushing up on their Baptist history and principles. So they're up in Manchester doing a course. And Sam was at a family wedding yesterday. So he will be none the wiser about Baptist history, but Dave and Leanne at least will have brushed up on that. So you've got me guiding you through this morning, and Fran is going to come and speak to us later in the service. We are carrying on with our series in Mark. So if I just get the screen there, John, thank you. And though the sort of eagle-eyed among you or eared or whatever, last week will know that we didn't have a week on Mark as we had Sally visiting us. Never fear for Mark chapter 11. We will see it again next week. But this week we are looking at Mark chapter 12. And this is what the service is going to look like this morning. So we will say some words together in a moment as our liturgy, and then we'll sing some songs. It says discussion, which sounds very serious, but because it's me, I'm going to do a little quiz, because I like organised fun. And it will be fun, okay? Then our kids and young people are going to go out. We'll have some notices and do a bit more singing. We're then going to read all of chapter 12 of Mark together before Fran comes to speak to us. And we will sing to finish. So let's take a moment to arrive in the room. Maybe just where you are, sort of feel your feet on the ground. If it helps you, just close your eyes for a moment and just take a couple of deep breaths just to sort of ground yourself in this place, to feel comfortable and free just in this space here this morning. However you come feeling this morning, whether that's tired or hot or any other myriad of feelings, all of those are valid and true, and just take a moment to feel those, feel how you are, and feel welcome and safe in this space for a moment. Before we sing, we're going to say some words together. They will just sort of show our unity as a people. Before we join our voices to sing. So if you'd like to stand for this, then please do. And we'll say these words together. There are some words in yellowish. We'll say those all together. And the words in white I will say. Okay? So let's say these words together before we sing. We are the body of Christ. Justice-seeking, bread-breaking, hymn-singing, risk-taking body of Christ. Baptized by one Spirit, we are members of one body. Many and varied in race, culture, sexuality, age, gender, class, and ability. We are members of Christ's beautiful body. None of us can say to another, I have no need of you, for only together can we find wholeness. For we are connected like muscle and bone. If one suffers, we all suffer. If one rejoices, we all rejoice. Come in, all are welcome. Come in to worship. Come with your longings, your questions, and your fears. Come with all your dreams of a better day, one with dignity and justice for all. Thanks be to God, who in Christ has made us one. Let us worship God. Alleluia. And I'll hand over to Paul. He's going to lead us in our worship.
Thanks, nice to see you all. Yeah, my name is Paul. Well done for braving the heat. We're going to start with Here Is Love. I've tried to focus on God's love a lot through the songs today. Here is love, vast as the ocean, loving kindness as the flood. When the Prince of Life, our ransom, shed for us his precious blood. And who is love will not remember, who can cease to sing his praise. He will never be forgotten throughout his eternal day. Sing, here is love. Here is love, vast as the ocean, loving kindness as the flood. When the Prince of Life, our ransom, shed for us his precious blood. And who is love will not remember, who can cease to sing his praise. And he will never be forgotten throughout his eternal day. And on the mount of crucifixion, fountains open deep and wide. Through the floodgates of God's mercy flowed a vast and gracious tide. And grace and love like mighty rivers poured incessant from above. And heaven's peace and perfect justice kissed the guilty world in love. And who is love will not remember, who can cease to sing his praise. He will never be forgotten throughout his eternal days. Bring your worry, grief and pain, every cause you have for shame. Lay it all down, lay it all down. And when your cares have buried you and there's nothing left to do, lay it all down, lay it all down at the feet of Jesus. At the feet of Jesus. And carried on, but your heart was sad. Feared the worst and felt the fire. Lay it all down, lay it all down. And filled with all those anxious thoughts, and all your doubts became your God. Lay it all down, lay it all down at the feet of Jesus. At the feet of Jesus. And lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down. Lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down. Lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down. At the feet of Jesus. At the feet of Jesus. When we've given up on better days, there are memories we can't erase. Lay it all down, lay it all down. When we've come to feel what we can't explain, and there's nothing here that can ease the pain. Lay it all down, lay it all down at the feet of Jesus. At the feet of Jesus. Lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down. Lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down. Lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down. At the feet of Jesus. At the feet of Jesus. Lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down. Lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down. Lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down. At the feet of Jesus. At the feet of Jesus. Lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down. Lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down. Lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down, lay it all down. At the feet of Jesus. At the feet of Jesus. Though the music changes and the songs we sing, we still lift our praises to our loving God and King. Though the music changes and the songs we sing, we still lift our praises to our loving God and King. Though the seasons change, your love remains, your love remains. Though the seasons change, your love remains, your love remains. Lord, you've been faithful to plant the seed, and you will be faithful to always send your rain. Lord, you've been faithful to plant the seed, and you will be faithful to always send your rain. Though the seasons change, your love remains, your love remains. Though the seasons change, your love remains, your love remains. Your love remains, though the seasons change. Your love remains, your love remains. And when we were far apart, you came running with open arms. When we were far apart, you came running with open arms. When we were far apart, you came running with open arms. When we were far apart, you came running with open arms. And when we were far apart, you came running with open arms.
Thanks, band. Welcome if you've joined us during the singing. There's a little... oh, no, it didn't come up yet. That's okay. I thought I'd given you a little sneak of what was coming next. We often take a moment in our service at this sort of point just to turn and say hello to each other and catch up with each other. I like to do that in a structure, and that just works for me. That might not be your style, but I'm up here and you're not. So that's how it's going. No, if this is not for you, that's absolutely fine. You're welcome just to sit and take a moment, and no one will be offended if you don't want to engage. But if you do, I've got a little quiz for you that is going to unlock powerful conversations among you, okay? I should just say there is water at the back, tea and coffee here. So if at any point you need to go and sort yourself up with that, please do. It's very warm in here, and no one will judge you for doing so. Right, if I could have my slides. This was inspired slightly by the World Cup, and also by a technique I use to get to sleep. So hopefully this will keep you all awake. I was having some thoughts last night about what I could do in this section, and one thought I had was I'd give you in your teams a blank world map, and you had to label as much of it as you could. But there's no time. There's no time for that. And then I was like, well, United States, that's where the World Cup is happening. Maybe I'll give you the states and you have to label all the states. Still too long. So instead, the technique I use to get to sleep, by the way, is you choose a letter and then you have to think of as many names that fit that letter. So, for example, you take I and then you go through all the people's names that start with I, and eventually your brain sort of turns itself off. Eventually, that's the plan. Anyway, so I'm going to get you to do that with countries today. So you need to be in a little team, okay? And you're going to try and come up with as many countries that start with a certain letter, okay? And then, as a bonus, you can tell any interesting stories you have about visiting those places. Okay, there we go, see? 2 prongs. So find a little team, take a moment to find a team around you. Say hello, introduce yourselves if you haven't already. Okay, so you're in your teams. The first thing in your teams you need to do is think of as many countries as you can that start with the letter E. We're talking their English names, okay? So countries that start with the letter E. So discuss, and then any stories you have about those countries. Go. Good to see you writing it down, Rebecca. Yeah, very proper. Okay, how many do we reckon there are starting with E? 5 we've got over there. 6, 7 here, okay. How many? 7 over there. 9 at the back? Okay, here we go. Let's have a look, Here we are. East Timor. Yeah, okay, yeah. Ecuador, Egypt, El Salvador, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Estonia, Eswatini. Now, I know it doesn't say England, obviously, but according to Google AI, apologies for using Google AI, but it said it would come under U for United Kingdom. So, you know, you can have England if you want. Okay, fine if you want. Okay. Boo Google, not me. All right. Okay, all right. So there it is. It's a good point. Either I didn't copy and paste correctly or AI is wrong, and that wouldn't be the first time. All right, here we go. Go. Okay, how many are we thinking this time? What have we got? We've got 6, 7, 9, 8, 9 over here. Yeah, okay. 8 over there. Okay. 7 over here. Okay, let's have a look. Okay. Iceland, India, Indonesia, Iran, Iraq, Ireland, Israel, Italy, Ivory Coast. Okay. Good. Okay, one more. Okay, and now this is the letter with the most countries. Okay, so S. Come up with all your S countries. Go. Okay, how many do we think for S? That's a lot of, okay, what is that? 13? Okay, 13 at the back, yeah. Okay, 18 here at the front. 18, well, and there's more than 18 as well, but here we go, here all of your S countries. It's quite a lot. Again, Scotland, United Kingdom, same thing. Okay, good. Well, hopefully that got your brains going and a little chance to talk with the people around you. Do carry on those conversations later if you would like to. We will move on. Children, young people, you're going to head out the back. Anton and Maddie are our brilliant youth and kids leaders, and so you're going to follow them in this way. And Buds is open as well, thank you, Maddie. So if you are primary age, secondary age, follow these guys and they will show you where to go. And for the rest of us here, I'm just going to take you through a few of the things that we're doing this week. I had a realization while we were singing that I'd done nothing to this slide, and there was nothing I could do about it. That's where I meant to put all of the information about the coming week. And I forgot to do that. So hopefully it will come up in the next few slides. So a few exciting things to tell you about. Next Sunday will be a baptism service. If that is something that you are interested in and you'd like to be baptized or like to find out more about it at least, do email Sam at onechurchbrighton.org for more information on that. So that's next Sunday, the 19th. And also next Sunday, we have our community meal. These happen once a month, the third Sunday of the month, straight after the morning service until about 3 p.m. It's where we serve members of our community who are vulnerably housed or dealing with homelessness, and give them a hot meal and a place to sort of come for the afternoon. So if you can help us out with that, I think a few of our team that would normally be there for that are not going to be here. So we particularly need some support with that. If you could let me know today or email the community meal at onechurchbrighton.org to let us know that you can help, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Our forum is rescheduled. It was going to be a couple of weeks ago, but we had to move it. It's now going to be an evening thing, so Thursday the 23rd of July. That's going to be online for around 45 minutes, no more. We will send out more details, an agenda, and a link for that in due course. A couple of opportunities to make some banners for the Pride Parade. So Pride is happening in Brighton this year on the 1st of August, Saturday the 1st. And if you've not joined us for that before, we've got our building down in Gloucester Place, which is on the route that the parade follows. And we stand out there as a supportive presence. And we're going to make some more banners in preparation for that. So the first opportunity for that is on the 19th of July. Which is also the same evening as the World Cup final. So that is going to be in here. We're going to screen the final. Kickoff is at 8. We'll be here from 7-ish, sort of making banners. So if you fancy those two worlds colliding, then do come and do that. There's also a chance for kids and families to do that on Friday the 24th of July in the morning, 10 till 12. Okay, so that'll be in here in the cafe. So come along for that if you'd like to as well. This is something I'm particularly excited about. On the 21st of July, so a couple of Tuesdays' time, we've got the author Lamorna Ash coming to join us. Lamorna's book, Don't Forget We're Here Forever, is a remarkable book. I read it a couple of months back and was just sort of astonished by how good it is. It talks about... So a couple of Lamorna's friends became Christians, and she was interested in why that had happened, sort of what was causing young people to turn back to faith practices. And she goes on this sort of journey of Christianity, basically sort of looking at different sects of Christianity, going on different courses. She does sort of Christianity Explored, Alpha, goes through all of these things that will be familiar to lots of us if you grew up in the church, or completely unfamiliar if you didn't, perhaps. But it's fascinating viewing it through Lamorna's eyes as someone who hadn't got a church or faith tradition to then sort of make those discoveries. Towards the end of this book as well, she talks about a visit to this church that she made, where she spoke with a couple of the people here. And one of the people she speaks to in the book is Anton, and Anton is actually going to interview her at this event. It's going to be a really wonderful event, I think. Tickets are free, but it would just be helpful for us to know if you're coming along. There'll be some books for sale as well, and you can get those signed too. But I think it would just be a really fascinating and interesting evening. And if you haven't read that book, it comes highly, highly recommended from me and many other people in the community, I think. On the 26th, so in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have our annual Rock Farm service. So we have a therapeutic farm and growing project out towards Stenning, Washington sort of way, about half an hour drive from here. And once a year we like to go and have a service in that space. And so that's going to be on the 26th. That also falls around the same time as what's called the Lammas Feast, as we sort of mark these feasting moments throughout the year. So that is going to be our feast, our next feast, and our next Rock Farm service. So that'll be on the 26th of July at 11 a.m. We'll have a bring and share lunch, so bring some stuff with you to eat and drink afterwards. And we're going to have a minibus that's going to go from here at 10:30. So if you would like a spot on that minibus, let me know today, please, or send me an email, mark@onechurchbrighton.org. Okay, but that'll be a really nice time to be together over there. And finally, I think in terms of notices, the summer holidays are coming around quickly. And as part of the summer holidays, we're going to be running a number of Chomp sessions. Chomp is a project where we feed families. Children and their families come along to these sessions for a sort of really healthy home-cooked meal and just lots of fun activities. So last year there was foraging, but there's all sorts of things that we do as part of these events. They're really sort of fun and joyful events that we put on in this community and in Brighton and Hove in the wider area. So what we need is people to help us out at those. So please do let us know by emailing chomp@onechurchbrighton.org if you can help. These are the places where they're happening and the dates those are happening on. And there's an opportunity, if you can't do the whole day, it's quite a long time, 9 till 3, 9:30 till 3. So if you can only do a morning or an afternoon, that's absolutely fine as well. But yeah, just have a little look at those dates and let Sam or Caroline know if you can help us out at those. Okay. All right. I think that's us in terms of notices. It's worth saying if you want to get a weekly update of those and you don't currently get our weekly email, you can do so by just filling in one of these cards. There's loads of those at the back, and I can add you to our email list. Yeah, if you just want to sort of introduce yourselves to us and you haven't done that already, then grab one of those, fill it in, and hand it back to me. All right, I think we're going to sing again, Paul, if that's all right. So I'll give the band a moment or so to come back up, and then we'll sing together before moving on to the next part of our service. You stand if you want to. No pressure, especially in the heat, but if you'd like to, then please do.
Who is Lord but our Lord? Who is God, only God? You are the highest. You are most good. And matchless is your peace like a river floods over us. Our hearts are restless until they find rest in you. Our hearts are restless until they find rest in you. This is where my hope lies. This is where my soul sighs, and I will always find my rest in you. And so full of mercy, beauty and mystery, you are most hidden, but always until they find rest in you. Our hearts are restless until they find rest in you. And this is where my hope lies. This is where my soul sighs, and I will always find my rest in you. And this is where my hope lies. This is where my soul sighs, and I will always find my rest in you. And you cannot change, yet you change everything. 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 Dear Lord and Father of mankind, forgive our foolish ways. Reclothe us in our rightful mind. In purer light thy service find. In deeper reverence praise. In deeper reverence praise.
In simple trust like this you heard, you still the Syrian sea. The gracious calling of the Lord, let us like them with but a word rise up and follow thee. Rise up and follow thee.
O Sabbath rest by Galilee, O calm of hills above, when Jesus knelt to share with thee the silence of eternity, interpreted by love, interpreted by love. Sing drop line. still dews of quietness, till all our striving cease. Take from our souls the strain and stress, and let our ordered lives confess the beauty of thy peace, the beauty of thy peace.
We're going to read now the chapter from Mark, chapter 12. I've lined up 6 readers who... Miriam's already coming out to the front. So yeah, actually, if you could come out to the front, that might be easier for us. Sorry, I think I said I would do roving reporter, but I'm going to make you come up to the front instead. That's probably easier for us. Thank you. Mark's got the first bit, I think. So we'll read this together.
Jesus then began to speak to them in parables. A man planted a vineyard. He put a wall around it, dug a pit for the winepress, and built a watchtower. Then he rented the vineyard to some farmers and moved to another place. At harvest time, he sent a servant to the tenants to collect from them some of the fruit of the vineyard. But they seized him, they beat him, and they sent him away empty-handed. So he sent another servant to them. They struck this man on the head and treated him shamefully. He sent still another, and that one they killed. He sent many others. Some they beat, others they killed. He had one left to send, a son whom he loved. He sent him last of all, saying, "They will respect my son." But the tenants said to one another, "This is the heir. Come, let's kill him, and the inheritance will be ours." So they took him and killed him and threw his body out of the vineyard. What then will the owner of the vineyard do? He will come and kill those tenants and give the vineyard to others. Haven't you read this passage of Scripture? The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Then the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders looked for a way to arrest him because they knew he had spoken the parable against them. But they were afraid of the crowd. So they left him and went away.
Later, they sent some of the Pharisees and Herodians to Jesus to catch him in his words. They came to him and said, "Teacher, we know that you're a man of integrity. You aren't swayed by others because you pay no attention to who they are, but you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth. Is it right to pay the poll tax to Caesar or not? Should we pay or shouldn't we?" But Jesus knew their hypocrisy. "Why are you trying to trap me?" he asked. "Bring me a denarius and let me look at it." They brought the coin, and he asked them, "Whose image is this, and whose inscription?" "Caesar's," they replied. Then Jesus said to them, "Give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's." And they were amazed at him.
Then the Sadducees, who say there is no resurrection, came to him with a question. "Teacher," they said, "Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies and leaves a wife but no children, the man must marry the widow and raise up offspring for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first one married and died without leaving any children. The second one married the widow, but he also died, leaving no children. It was the same with the third. In fact, none of the 7 left any children. Last of all, the woman died too, At the resurrection, whose wife will she be, since the 7 were married to her? Jesus replied, Are you not in error, because you do not know the Scriptures or the power of God? When the dead rise, they will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. Now about the dead rising. Have you not read in the book of Moses, in the account of the burning bush, how God said to him, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the living God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. You are badly mistaken.
One of the teachers of the law came and heard them debating. Noticing that Jesus had given them a good answer, he asked him, Of all the commandments, which is the most important? The most important one, answered Jesus, is this. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. The second is this. Love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. Well said, teacher, the man replied. You are right in saying that God is one and there is no other but him. To love him with all your heart, with all your understanding and with all your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself is more important than all burnt offerings and sacrifices. When Jesus saw that he had answered wisely, he said to him, You are not far from the kingdom of God. And from then on, no one dared ask him any more questions.
While Jesus was teaching in the temple courts, he asked, Why do the teachers of the law say that the Messiah is the son of David? David himself, speaking by the Holy Spirit, declared, The Lord said to my Lord, Sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet. David himself calls him Lord. How then can he be his son? The large crowd listened to him with delight.
As he taught, Jesus said, Watch out for the teachers of the law. They like to walk around in flowing robes and be greeted with respect in the marketplaces and have the most important seats in the synagogues and the places of honor at banquets. They devour widows' houses and for a show make lengthy prayers. These men will be punished most severely. Jesus sat down opposite the place where the offerings were put and watched the crowd putting their money into the temple treasury. Many rich people threw in large amounts, but a poor widow came and put in 2 very small copper coins worth only a few pence. Calling his disciples to him, Jesus said, Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. They all gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on.
Fantastic. Thank you, readers, for that. As we go through the book of Mark, we've sort of been reading all of it because we like the idea that by the end of this year we will have read all of it. And Fran is going to come and speak to us about some of that chapter.
Hello, lovely people. How are you this morning? You feeling cool? No? Actually, Mark and I are surprised to see so many here, given the numbers of us who stayed up late last night to listen. I'm not doing well. Stayed up late last night to watch the football. But thank you for being here. I was reflecting when preparing this talk. It's probably at least 9 months since I've stood up front to give a talk. So I'm a little rusty. And it's quite long, so I will try and cut it down, because I suspect we all want to go home at a reasonable hour. I did promise 2 hours, but Mark wasn't impressed. I also want to say hello to anyone who's watching online. We really value our online community, whether you're watching at this moment or a bit later in your own time. You are very much part of us. And although we can't see you, we love you being part of our community, so thank you. Okay, well, Mark chapter 12. The reason Mark chapter 11 is next week, because there were some last-minute changes, and the leadership team here took pity on me that I didn't have to change all I was doing and do Mark 11 instead of Mark 12. So I don't know whether any of you here ever watch Apple TV. I have discovered a series on Apple TV that I am binge watching. I am on series 5, which is the last series. And it's called For All Mankind. I think it's amazing. I really love it. And it's about, it's a fictional race to the moon and then to Mars, primarily between the US and Russia. And lots of drama in between and people's stories. And basically, it's about power. It's about prosperity and achievement, but it's about power primarily. Who can win? Who can take these other entities, the moon and Mars, and prosper from them, and therefore be the dominant power on Earth? But interestingly, as I'm coming to series 5, it's increasingly about belonging. About where do we belong as human beings? Who do we belong with? What is and where is home for us in the deepest and most profound sense of that word? Not just the building around us, but where, you know what it's like, where do we feel at home? And that's where this 5 series is landing. It's absolutely fascinating. And running all the way through it, notice it's called For All Mankind. And it starts in the 80s, is it, Avril, or something like that? 1969, thank you very much. You see, I knew Avril would know. 1969 and into the early 2000s, basically. No? Yes. 20, that's early. 2012, okay, thank you. Some people are so precise. Thank you. And you'll see running through it, there's racism running through it, there's misogyny running through it. The whole thing about the place of women as astronauts, absolutely fascinating. And you think, how could people think that way? So why am I talking about this? I'll stop getting excited about this particular TV series, especially if you haven't seen it, because of what it's about the themes that are running through it, particularly of power and belonging and home. And that might seem a million miles away to us from this chapter 12 of Mark's Gospel. A million miles away to us here in this room, unless we have any astronauts or aspiring astronauts in this room. But life today, and it's always been the case, running all the way through it is the issue of power and the exercise of power, the use and the abuse of power. We encounter it every day in our lives, in small ways and big ways. We all, in some way, have, to a large amount or a small amount, agency in our lives, power in our lives. And power is often linked with belonging and home. Interestingly, today, there's more overt, maybe it's always been there, but it just seems more overt. The misuse of power. It's about oil. It's about territory. It's about possession of land. It's about money. It's about power over people. We're seeing in parts of the world, and the US perhaps is more stark for many of us because of the rapid change there, the misuse and abuse of power day in, day out. The active disenfranchisement of people now. The changing of electoral boundaries to ensure that those who are poorer can't vote. Those of different ethnic origin can't vote than white middle-class Americans. Let alone the religious right Christians who grieve me more than I can begin to say, not because I'm better, but it's so sad, who are now propagating that actually women should not be able to vote because women should be under men and have no authority of that nature. And that is being actively propagated by senior people in government. And it comes from religious right-wing Christians. It's heartbreaking, but it's about power. It's nothing new. Anyone who's read Margaret Atwood's novels will know that she prophesied that this was going to happen. And power and the misuse and abuse of power runs through all of history, doesn't it? So it is relevant, not just to my TV series, not just to us here in this room today, but to this passage in Mark. Life today is also, isn't it, about belonging and home. So many people dislocated from their roots and lack of belonging and the impact of that. We see that in refugee movements around the world now. Unprecedented numbers of people ripped out of their places of identity and belonging. That quiz we did at the beginning about nations, it would have been interesting to actually layer that quiz with how many of those nations are experiencing widespread trauma that is resulting in refugee movements, either coming in or going out. There's a transience and mobility in our society here. Interestingly, Sally Mann, who spoke last Sunday, felt the need to tell us that she was born and bred in the East End of London, that her family live within a few streets of where she was born and bred, that her family have lived in that area of East London for years. And we all look and think, oh gosh, that's unusual. And it is. We move around. I won't ask you, but how not many of us here probably come from Brighton originally. I certainly don't. And so that whole social mobility, that transience, we have that in our church community, people flowing in and people flowing out. But the downside of all that, the impact of all that is we are feeling less and less secure in our lives and where we belong and who we belong with. Where can we be fully ourselves? There's so many, anyway, I won't go on to it. Anyway, Mark 12, that's just been wonderfully read to us, is very much about power and belonging and home and security and the impact on where and how we can be fully ourselves. Now, I love Mark's gospel. I'm looking forward to meeting Mark in heaven because he gallops along at such a pace. Goodness gracious me, you can barely draw breath and he's on to the next thing. This is a man who was excited about Jesus and the stories about Jesus and the impact of Jesus. And you can feel it coming through the words as we read them. And I don't know if I can match his pace, and I certainly can't match trying to cover the whole chapter in this one talk. But what I'm going to do is take us through the three incidents at the beginning and land it at what I think is the heart of the chapter, which is where Jesus talks about what is the greatest commandment. And the lead up is one parable and two questions. Or interactions. It's very interesting, parables. Jesus uses parables to open up people's thinking, open up listeners' minds and insights. Richard Rohr talks about them being a unique form of storytelling that's always trying to subvert business as usual. Very important that. Much like a Zen koan or a Confucian riddle, it's about upending things, aiming to offer us a way through by utterly reframing how we think about things. And it's very similar when Jesus is asked a question, how he responds, let alone when he asks people questions. Do you not... There's some nice pat answers to some of these things, but actually, the more I get into this stuff, and the longer I'm a Christian, I think, what is that about? And that's the very reason Jesus taught in that way. To partner with us and enable us to have open minds and to see things differently. So first of all, you've got this parable about land ownership, if you like. Where is it on here? Let's go up to the next one. Keep going. The trouble with speaking, it's hot up here. Whoops. There you go. Parable of the tenants, it's described as. I can't do these justice, okay? I really cannot. There isn't time. You could have an hour's talk on each, which you're not going to get, for which you may be heartily relieved. But this parable, land ownership, it's got layers of meaning. And when I go to the Bible commentaries, the standard answer is that basically Jesus was rebuking religious leaders and that for rejecting Jesus the cornerstone. But actually, whilst that is true, I think another strand or layer or nuance of meaning in this is about power. That wanting to maintain power, wanting to seize power, based in land ownership or wealth or material prosperity, where do we find our belonging, our sense of who we are? Do we find it in where we live? Do we find it in what we possess? You know, the latest this or the latest that. Or indeed in what we don't possess or where we don't live. The disappointment of that. Where do we find who we are in relation to those things? You see, this bunch of people, for whatever reason, were willing to become violent, and seriously violent, to seize power. It mattered to them so much. Why did it matter? Life would have been better, no doubt, and there's probably good reason behind it. But you can see the extreme of the behavior. So I guess in our lives, in our belongings, in our world, in our home, in our material possessions, in our footprint of land, however small that is, whether we have that or we don't have that, is that the beginning and end of who we are? Or is there more? And then in the next lot, you go on to a lot of nasty murder going on there. The next one is a trick question to Jesus. And they're trying to catch him out, basically. It's a trick question. They're trying to trap him into rejecting the political power of the day and align himself with one group or another who had different views about that. You see, the poll tax was levied by the Romans on all Jewish males. And it symbolized their subjection to that imperial rule of Caesar. It was a horrid thing, and it was deeply resented by the Jews, who believed that only God was the true king, not Caesar. And even worse than that, Caesar seized for himself that identity of divinity, which is what was on the coins, was written on the coin, the denarius that's talked about here. This was deeply resented by the Jews. Supporters of Herod and his crew, Jewish, allied with Rome, favored paying the tax. The Pharisees, on the other hand, didn't believe in it at all because they opposed it, because it was sacrilege, what was being supported, the blasphemy. And Jesus basically opens the door and shows their hypocrisy by saying, hang on, you guys, you all use this coin. You all use this. You're hypocrites. And a lot, again, the commentaries interpret this, rightly I'm sure, that there is no real conflict, if you like, between having faith and being involved in public life, and being involved in politics. And I say a hearty amen to that. We need more Christians in politics, not fewer, tough though it is. But actually, there's something more going on here as well, I would like to suggest. It's about political, institutional, even influencers, power, the power of bodies outside us, who we align ourselves with and why. Why do we do it? Where do we find our security? What will make the world be all right for us? Will it be poor Andy Burnham? You know, that man is being set up to fail, I think. Not because he's not necessarily good at what he does, but everybody in one particular party, and perhaps more widely, is expecting him to make the world all right. And I've got news for you. He can't. He can make it a bit better, hopefully. Do you know, I've just realised that banner is strategically placed so you can't see the clock from here. I will take... So this whole thing about political engagement, the institutions around us, we live in a world, don't we, where for Mark chapter 12 and the people of the day, you were Jewish, there were these religious groups who exercised power over you, and then worst of all, there were the people, the Romans, who had come in and invaded their country, the occupying force, and they were expecting all this. And how do you live in relation to all of that? For us, there's a huge amount of disillusionment, isn't there, with public institutions. It used to be, the monarchy, or the church, or the police, or the government. And now what we see is widespread disillusionment, skepticism, and I can't say it anyway, they don't like them. And there's a search for popular figures to somehow fix that, to somehow make the world better, that we can identify with or rescue. Some people identify, a lot of people identify with Donald Trump. And you may think, why? But they do. Because he symbolizes something, that he has power and he can make the world somehow a better place, despite what you might see. Some might think that Jude Bellingham is the answer to it all, and those who support England football team will probably agree with that, along with Harry Kane. But there are others, young white men who identify with Andrew Tate, who presents a view of the world and of the relationships between genders in a way that alienates and embraces. Embraces if you're like me, alienates if you're like a woman or over there in some way. And it's about finding identity. And we wonder, well, why do people do this? It's because we all need to belong, don't we? I don't know about you, but I need to belong somewhere, somehow, with others. I may not always like where I am, but there's this deep sense of belonging that is profoundly part of our human nature. We're wired that way. It's getting distorted in so many different ways. So it wasn't just about political power and which party you go with, but it's really about the why of that. What are you seeking in that? And that's the important thing here. And then you get another one. About marriage at the resurrection. This is an interesting one. They're trying to trap Jesus into alienating a powerful group, belief in the resurrection, basically. And what I find fascinating about this is the numbers of Christians I've talked with who are genuinely, and I'm not disparaging this at all, are really worried whether they will be with their partner in heaven. Because they love their partner. They want to be with them. Of course they do. But you know, this isn't what this is about. This is about so much more than that. Have you noticed the patriarchal assumptions that underlie this? I feel so sorry for that poor widow. She must be knackered. All those men, one after another. And the assumption was that she was property. She was property. She was there to produce an heir. And I love, towards the end of this chapter, where Jesus again subverts people's views about who is important and points out this widow who puts a tiny little bit of money, all that she has, into the offering and says that's what we should be like. You see, widows were right down the pecking order in the days when this was written or spoken about. And so this is not about the beauty and the enjoyment and the stuff of close, intimate relationships somehow being blown up and done away with when you go to heaven. It's more about the much more of God's love, the much more. You see, if we put all our security in relationships, intimate relationships, or not having intimate relationships, and we feel so insecure because we don't have intimate relationships or close relationships with another person, rather than having a relationship of love and belonging and intimacy with the source of love, God themselves. So it's not saying relationships don't matter, quite the opposite. But Jesus is saying there's so much more. Come on, guys, there is so much more. This is not about all these dead brothers. There's so much more. Talks about, I'm not the God of the dead, but of the living. Jesus upends the assumptions, the underlying assumptions that lie in this question. And instead, it's about freedom to be fully who we are. This is what this is about. The much more of living in God's love. So that's the lead up. I'll spend a few minutes, just a few minutes, on the heart of it all. The living in love, verses 28 to 34. So Matthew's account, Matthew 22, differs slightly because that actually in Matthew 22, Matthew thinks this guy's trying to trip up Jesus, whereas this version marks a bit more generous. It's just a genuine question. Either way, it's a question, a fundamental question. It's about the life of faith, the core of what it means, how to live, the greatest commandment. And the answer just blows him away. Because Jesus says basically, the central declaration of Jewish faith, they call it the Shema, about one God. Affirming the oneness of God and the importance of loving God wholeheartedly. All our hearts, our souls, our minds, our strengths. You find it in Deuteronomy chapter 4. Deuteronomy, I'm not sure where in Deuteronomy. It's got verses 4 to 5, but no chapter in my notes. That's your homework. Find it in Deuteronomy. But it's one of the most important prayers in all of Judaism. Devout Jews today will have prayed this prayer, a prayer based on the Shema about God being the one God, the true God, to be loved with all our heart, soul, and mind. And what really blows this man away, though, is the link that Jesus makes, the inseparable link between loving God and being loved by God and loving our neighbor. It's not that Jews didn't know about loving their neighbor. It's not that they weren't taught about it in the Old Testament. We read many times about it. Leviticus 19 in particular explores what it looks like in practice. Later in the Gospels, we have the story of the Good Samaritan where Jesus amplifies and explains through a parable, which again leaves his listeners questioning what loving your neighbor is about. But I wonder as you read that, what your reaction is, what your response is, just as the response of Jesus' listeners at the time. When you read this verse, when you hear these words, does it come across, or do you think, oh, another ought to of faith? A standard, if I'm realistic, I can't live up to. I have a go, and I inevitably get it wrong. You know, this whole burden of ought tos in our faith. Indeed, some wings of the church have interpreted and promoted a view of Christian life which is about you've got to get it right. You're not allowed to mess up, or if you do, you keep it secret. This isn't what this is about. But it could be how we feel, that actually it's just another ought to, and my life is full, and I'm just about hanging on by my fingernails. I'm struggling. Don't lay this one on me too. All my heart, all my soul, all my mind, all my strength. That's a bit extreme. This is not a transactional relationship. And all genuine, loving relationships are not transactional. If you do this, I'll do that. And some of us have been taught again that I have to do this in order for God to somehow bless me. We know about mercy and grace in our heads, but in our behaviors and our thought patterns and our reactions and our responses, it's more about, if I do this, then God will love me. God will be on my side. God will help me. If I only get this right, if I do this, if I do that, if I obey God. It's not transactional. You put the coin in and you get the blessing out. It doesn't work that way. That's not what love is about, is it? And there's another tendency, and I think this is one that is a challenge for our church in particular. Different church traditions emphasize either loving God through what is said and done, or loving your neighbor through what is said and done. And this beautiful, amazing community, it's such a beautiful community, it really is. We have a passion for justice. We have a passion, you see it in all our projects, let alone our personal lives, to see the world be a better place for those around us. But the challenge for us in that is in pursuing that emphasis, we can overlook or neglect. I'm not saying that we are, but that's the challenge always. We can overlook or neglect the whole thing about being rooted in loving relationship with God. And this verse is very much holds the two together. Loving and being loved by God. Being loved by God. God taking the initiative. Us loving back as best we can. And then expressing that in an integral way through our love of our neighbors. So Dave has talked sometimes about the inflow and outflow of us as a church. The inswing and the outswing of how we focus as a church. And it will always be a challenge for us. And I'm delighted we're a church that tends to have a bias to the outward swing of changing the world. But the challenge is not to forget the inward swing of personally and collectively as a community. And what this this teaching of Jesus primarily is about is an invitation. It's not an ought to. It's not a must do. But it's an invitation. An invitation into fullness of life. Life bathed, filled, embraced by God. A God of love who upends our distorted notions of power and how we find security, whether in possessions or property or our alignment with individuals of power or institutions that we embrace, whether it's in our most intimate and closest of relationships, upends our notions of what's important in that. It doesn't say they're not important, but says loving God, knowing you're loved by God and loving God is at the heart of it all. That search for belonging in security can be, if you like, reached, found, discovered in home with God. Belonging with God. The source of our being fully, unconditionally loved. You know, the entirety of who we are, our history, our hopes, our fears, the things we've messed up in, warts and all, the things we would never admit to another human being, even those we're closest to. God knows it all. And God still says, I invite you into my love. I invite you. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a freeing thing. I've got some questions here, perhaps that you might want to consider personally and for journey groups to consider. So I'll just put them up here, if I can find them. You don't need to, if you're interested in them, then just take a picture and journey groups will probably look at them as well. But I just wanted to share with you one quote at the end. Because how do we know what God's love looks like? Well, we see it in Jesus. How do we know what God is like? Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. That's what Sally Mann was talking about last Sunday. And I thought I'd put up here a quote from this amazing man. I've come across this book. It's written by a monk at Worth Abbey, and it's about the Roman Catholic Bishop of Algiers who was assassinated in 1996, along with several other Christians. And the book is called The Certainty of Being Loved, and it's a bit quaint in some ways, but actually it's got some beautiful stuff in it. And Pierre says, Jesus takes me as I am and opens up before me a space where I can freely be myself. But he does better still because he expects the best of me with a gentleness and an irresistible power, without forcing me, no abuse of power, but power used well to invite and create the opportunity and even create the means. Without judging me, I will become aware of someone new coming to birth in me whom I didn't know, my best self. That's what being loved by God works in us, and that's the invitation. So all these other things leading up to it about where we find our identity, our sense of worth, our belonging, our security, the whole thing of power and where that fits into all this, a God who loves us and is for us and with us and invites us. Now, I am too hot and I've talked for too long, so I'm now going to stop and hand back to Mark. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fran. Really lovely to have you back speaking with us here on a Sunday morning. We're going to finish with a song, so I'll let Paul and the band come up. As before, stand or sit as you feel able and comfortable, and we'll sing together to finish.
Lord, you spoke those words. You spoke so tenderly. Now I choose to believe you love me. You love me. You love me. Lord, you spoke those words. You spoke so tenderly. Choose to believe you love me, you love me, you love me. You're taking me by the hand again. You're giving me strength to dance again. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You're taking me by the hand again. You're giving me strength to dance again. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. When my heart is frail and when I'm incomplete, I will choose to receive. You love me, you love me, you love me. You're taking me by the hand again. You're giving me strength to dance again. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You're taking me by the hand again. Giving me strength to dance again. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You're taking me by the hand again. You're giving me strength to dance again. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, you never fail. When I look at you, you never fail. When I trust in you, you never let go. You never let go of me. You never let go. Oh, you never fail. When I look at you, you never fail. And I trust in you, Lord, you never let go. You never let go of me. You never let go. You're taking me by the hand again. You're giving me strength to dance again. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You're taking me by the hand again. You're giving me strength to dance again. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You're taking me by the hand again. You're giving me strength to dance again. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything.
Thanks, band, and thanks for being here today. Feel free to grab a seat as we close. Just a couple of things to let you know. Children currently are out the front, so if you're looking to go and pick them up from the back, they won't be there. They're just out the front in the space on the patio out there, so go and grab your kids from there. They've got loads of surplus pastries and food, so go and grab that stuff from the tea and coffee if you'd like a little snack. And I've remembered for the first time in a long time to bring all of the lost property out of the office, of which we have 2.5 crates. So even if it's not your water bottle, why don't you go and take it? Because there are about 25 in there. But also loads of clothes and bits and pieces. So go and see if anything that you think you might have lost is over there. And otherwise, we probably at some point, Sarah, should get rid of it. So yeah, please go and have a little look through and do that. All right, we're going to finish with the words of the grace. This is a sort of Baptist tradition, which I'm sure Dave and Leanne are learning more and more about as we speak. And the tradition with this is that we look longingly, that's not the right word, meaningfully, that's the word. Woo. You look longingly if you want, I suppose. Maybe just look at the floor for this one, I think. I'm gonna look this way. Look at each other if you want. While we say these words together. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all evermore. Amen. Goodbye.